We all want to enjoy our weekend, but for so many of us, we struggle with dragging ourselves through the week. If you feel like you live for the weekends, you're not alone. But here's the thing, you don't have to be. And you can start building this thing one step at a time. In this video, I'm gonna share with you 6 different ideas that you can start to apply to your life so your week doesn't always have to be focused on the end of it. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is Bennett Schwartz. I'm here to share some ideas that have helped me move the needle just a little bit, so I hope you find them beneficial. Over the course of the last 2 weeks, I had doctor appointments on Mondays. And when I went to the secretary both times and asked them how their weekend was, they both had very similar answers. One of them said it wasn't long enough, and the other one said I just can't wait to get to next weekend. And I didn't really know how to respond because for me, that is such a pessimistic way of looking at it. And if these people are literally living their whole weeks until they get to their weekends, then I really think we need to start to shift what it is we're doing and how it is we're thinking about them. And that's why the first thing that you need to start to change is if you are planning your week as 5 days and 2 days or 4.5 and 2.5 days, you're already setting yourself up for failure. Just the mindset of saying that I have days that I work and days that I relax, especially if they're the ratio that you don't really want to be doing, all you're going to be doing is constantly waiting for that free time. For so many of us, we can't wait to retire. We can't wait to have a day off or a weekend. But to realize that if we are living for those weekends, then we might not be really living at all. I mean, think about it. How has your life been going so far by living this way? And the people who are really getting meaning out of life are not just living for the weekends, they're living every single day, and they're really starting to enjoy those things that they do daily as well. And it might be that you're in a situation where, like, Bennett, I really just can't leave and ditch everything that I'm doing because I have so many responsibilities. And that's okay. But to understand that the first shift we really need to start to make is to understand if we can start to recognize that our day is not just 5 days and 2 days, but it's just 7 weeks of the week, and we're gonna do things throughout our week also, which we'll explain soon, then all of a sudden we don't just live for the weekends because throughout our week we're excited as well. And that brings me to my second point, where we have to break our day into different activities. You see, for a lot of us, we have different priorities. So we might have to go to work, we might have to take our kids to school, we have to pick our kids up, we might want to work out, and we might just want to chill. Whatever it might be, we all have different things that we have been doing every single day. And if you're the type of person where my days aren't really working, then we need to start to shift. And if we can start to really just schedule and decompartmentalize all the things that we're doing, then all of a sudden we have the ability to start to switch and really get out of our day. For me personally, I break my day into 5 different parts. 2 in the morning, 1 throughout my day where I'm working, and then 2 at night. And that's a way that even if I'm not excited about any one of them because I see something coming up or I'm scared to be doing something, I still have the ability to enjoy other aspects of it. And this doesn't mean that I always enjoy my job, but I do sometimes enjoy my job. And it doesn't mean that I always enjoy the other responsibilities that I have. But guess what? The fact that I'm doing it is something that I'm so proud of and I'm so happy about. So if you could start to break your day, then all of a sudden you have that ability to live your mini weekends daily. And that's why for the third point, we have to understand what our responsibilities are. You see, for so many people, especially the younger generation, whenever they start to get into a specific responsibility and it gets a little bit overwhelming, they end up just quitting, they end up just stopping or giving up. And what we have to realize is like that's just not the way it works. And we as mature adults have to be able to move forward with things that even if we don't necessarily want to be doing them. So understanding that we have responsibilities, and that's not a bad thing necessarily. But I will say this. One of the things that so many people mess up, and I speak about this in my online course, people aren't able to get meaning out of their life because they're not being present. I know one of the biggest things that happened to me whenever I would finish work and I would have a 2-hour gap of time with my family. So on a beautiful sense, it sounds like it's with my family. How could it not be beautiful? On the other hand, my kids are cranky. We're trying to figure out the dinner situation. Nobody wants what dinner really was made. Then we have to try to bathe them, the homework, and try to get them to the bath. It's not necessarily just going to the park and hanging out. But guess what? It doesn't mean that it has to be so stressful. And yes, I'm sure there's a lot going on, but if you have the ability to be more present during that time and to take a step back and say, hey, you know what? This is the time with my family. It might not be an ideal time and it might not be that everybody's on the same page, but for me as the adult, I want to step into it and I want to be able to be present with them. And this is one of the things that when people start to work out also, you can start to really use. Of course, you're not going to be into it, but understanding that this is something that could be important to you and this is a responsibility that you're taking upon yourself. You don't just have to get through it, but you can get from it as well. That being said, if you're getting anything from this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. The fourth thing is something that I've actually learned just through my own specific religious identity. You see, throughout my day, I'm supposed to be going to synagogue 2 or 3 times a day. And what I really found is that throughout those times, I'm actually socializing a lot. The fact that I could stop in synagogue and say hi to somebody for 5-10 minutes can be something that could really shift so much. It breaks up your day and it actually gives me some social life, especially if it's the same people that I'm seeing every single day. So I'm able to catch up and have some small talk. And even on the days that I'm really busy, even just a wave or a what's up really gets the job done. I really highly recommend to trying to do daily, and not daily, but at least a couple of times a week to be social. And this doesn't necessarily mean you have to go to the bar or you have to go out to eat. But even if it's on a walk or doing something productive with somebody else, because that could be something that could just give you more excitement in your life. We are social beings and we need to have that connection. And if we're not connecting with other people, especially nowadays when so many people work online, it can have a really big impact on your life. Look to try to socialize and look to try to make a difference with the things that you can be putting into your life. And the fifth thing that I'd like to share with you is something that I learned from Alex Hormozi. And it's something that would happen to me here and there, but then when I started to implement it into my life, it was something that really changed everything. You see, for so many of us, we're going through our days and we're really just walking through like zombies. We're checking things off of our list, but we're not living. And even if you want to be somebody who's present and you're doing things that you want to be doing, understanding that if you're not putting in your full energy, you're not going to really feel great at the end of the day. And I remember when I first jumped into entrepreneurship and I was so excited and I was starting to do things, and in the morning after like 11:30, I would be so confused about what else I need to be doing, and I would be bored for a lot of the rest of the day. I was just going my business, so I didn't have so many clients. I would be reading the books, listening to the podcast, trying to implement different strategies, and then I found myself just binge watching or just being quote unquote productive. But for me, I knew that's not something that I felt good about. But it was interesting when I started to run an online event, and I asked a big time speaker if he would join just out of the blue to see if he would actually say yes, and he actually said yes. And I remembered after that moment that he said yes, I started freaking out because I now knew that I had to make this an event a big one. And I worked so hard on that for weeks, and I remember every one of those nights, it was so tiring, but nevertheless, I felt so amazing about myself. We all have the ability to be putting in 100%, and even if it's not 100%, 90% within our days, the stuff that we can be doing. I'm telling you, if you can start to work and start to do the things that you want to be doing and put in all that effort, that could be something that could change so much of what it is you're going to be feeling at the end of the day. You're not going to be waiting for weekends because you can't wait for Sunday to get over, because Monday morning you're going to be able to have one of those days again. It's one of the most amazing feelings, and it's really something that's so counterintuitive to all that's going on nowadays with people saying that they need breaks and they need to take time off. But I'm telling you, if you really want to feel good about yourself and just feel like a good person, working hard is one of the easiest ways to do it. And this takes me to my sixth point, where we need to be directional with the things that we're doing. Meaning, if your day is full of things that, you know what, you don't really want to be doing, you've been doing your job and you don't really like it, then guess what? Something has to change. You only live your life once. And you know what? It might be really tough in the beginning, but when you look back, I'm guaranteeing you, you're going to feel better about it. For so many people, they're just living this routine life of theirs that they might have picked when they were 20 or 30 years old. And that's not something that I wish upon anybody. It's something I'm constantly thinking about and making sure that the things that I'm doing every single day are leading me to somewhere bigger. And that doesn't mean that the place where you are can't be a stop on the station and it's not your ideal, but to understand that there has to be direction can be something that could start to change everything. And if you're somebody who struggles with what is it you want in your life and what is it you need in your life, make sure to take a look at this next video where we discuss exactly that.